You guys requested it, and I am here to deliver. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we're starting the storyline of this amazing tale called Dark Knights of Steel. Story about the DC Universe's heroes in the medieval time. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Our story starts out in space, in a planet called Krypton. This planet was dying, and a scientist knew this. The scientist's name was Jor-El. He was wise enough and had enough foresight to create a ship for himself and his wife. I know it is different from the usual Superman story, but this is how it starts. On a planet far, far away, they came through and crash landed, causing chaos. And in that chaos, something was going to come to life because they opened the ship to find out that him and his wife were expecting a son. He tried to be there for her. He tried to help her through it. But just before he could, he heard footsteps, horses and warriors on top of them. Knights who had seen the comet fall out from the sky, thought that he was a stranger, thought he was an enemy. So they came and they were looking to kill him. But he was not going to let that happen. He was protecting his wife and child, begging them to stop. And when the warriors didn't listen, his anger came flooding through. His anger roasted them alive. He was a Kryptonian after all. On this planet, he was safe, and he will keep his family safe, one way or another. Across the pond, in another kingdom, we see a man of magic having a vision. And this vision came with warning. Being down in front of his king, he said, "They are here. The people who have come to our planet to bring death, falling from the sky. They will rise above the sky, and they will take what is ours. They are here." When the king heard this, he asked them, "What do they want?" And the man of magic simply said, "They want our end." And so the seed was set, a seed that will grow into a vicious plant. Years later, we see in the kingdom of El, a young man named Clark and another man named Bruce, both brothers but not connected by blood. Clark was the prince of this kingdom, and Bruce was the knight of it. He was charged with protecting his prince. So anytime the prince offered to follow Bruce on one of his missions, Bruce always turned him away. And the prince was angry. "Why would you take little kids, but you will not take me? I am bulletproof. I can help." But Bruce didn't care. He had a duty, so he set off, leaving the little prince behind. And Alfred gave the prince a smile as they set off because they had received reports from the Robins, Dick and Duke, that someone in this town was a banshee. So Bruce came to apprehend this culprit because his first charge was protecting his kingdom. At the sight of him, people ran away because they knew what he was capable of. And that is when he saw one of his robins carrying a man. He had apparently knocked him out because he didn't want to leave his establishment. And this was where the banshee laid her head. So Bruce decided to handle this alone because he was capable. And when he stepped in, he told her, "Don't move, don't make a sound. Come with me quietly. I am sure you know who I am." And she admitted that she knows who he is, but she was never going to come quietly. Opening her mouth, she let out a scream that shook the building, that shook the very town itself. Bruce was still standing. He was shocked. She was shocked. She knew what she let out. She knew that was capable of killing any man. Why was he standing? Frustrated, she let out another scream, but she was stopped this time. Before her stood him, Clark, the prince of the kingdom. He looked into her eyes and he saw fear, but Bruce didn't care. He still knocked her out. Mission was complete. Now back to the kingdom. Clark tried to check if he was okay, but Bruce was okay. Matter of fact, he was unharmed except for minor bleeding in his ear. So they went back to the kingdom. Back in the kingdom, though, we see Harley Quinn was the jester of the court, and she loved to pick on Bruce because Bruce was way too serious. But this was a serious day. Bruce had put the prince in danger. He bowed his head and apologized, but Clark was not going to let him do that. He made it clear that it was his choice, and Bruce could not even stop him even if he wanted to. His mother made it clear that Bruce was just doing his job, but Clark was tired of being pent up, locked up in this castle. But before he could make his case, Bruce made it clear that a magical assassin was sent and apprehended. But Clark was not having it, making it clear that she was imprisoned for doing nothing. Her only crime was being magical, and they couldn't stand the idea of magical people running around because the House of El was only vulnerable to magic. And Bruce promised on his knees that he will be there to protect the family. But the Queen made sure to let him know he is a part of that family. His parents were their best friends and the original rulers of this kingdom. The king himself made it clear that he wanted Bruce to rule this kingdom, but Bruce said no. You are gods. I am but a bastard. When Clark heard this, he was pissed off. Who cares? But Bruce cared. Bruce was a stickler for tradition, and they would never change because of spacemen. They were about to fight, but the king said no. Stop it. Bruce, come with me. Let's talk. And they went outside. Even if Bruce didn't want to go outside because of the thunder, he knew the ruler of the opposite kingdom was the king of the storm. So he was cautious, but the king didn't care. He was a Kryptonian. Nothing could harm him, right? But Bruce also had a confession to make. He told his king that he feels weird. He feels like he is made of magic because he has dodged death too many times. Things that were meant to kill him just didn't kill him. So he felt like being honest with this king. And we see from afar, during this conversation, an archer notched his arrow, getting ready to take a shot, and the arrow was blessed by a ring. The arrow was crackling with energy, and the archer shot his shot. And we see the king confessing to Bruce that when he got here, the only friends they ever had was his father and his mother, and he was very close with Bruce's mother. He exposes the fact that Bruce is not a bastard, no. Bruce was his son, his prodigal son. But just before he could reveal any more, shing, he was shot directly in the eye. Man who has treated Bruce like an equal since he got there. The man who just revealed he was Bruce's father, who had his loyalty and his love, was at his feet. Bruce had lost 2 parents, and now he has lost another one. Filled with rage, she let out a scream, and everyone heard this. The queen and her son rushed, but they met the corpse of their beloved husband and father. Bruce had failed in his mission to protect, but he was not going to fail in catching the criminal who did this. Jumping from the tower, he landed below and grabbed the hold of his horses. Him and Alfred set off to catch this criminal, and he noticed an arrow coming directly for Alfred's head, stopping it midair. The archer was surprised. How? But Bruce could see him, and he was far away. He leaped from his horse, and he took the archer's arm clean off. Bruce was lethal. This was no Batman, holding the blade to the archer's neck. Who sent you? Where is the green man? Alfred stopped him, but Bruce made it clear he wasn't going to kill him. You can't get answers from a dead man, and I want answers. The king had died today, and across the pond, in the kingdom of Storm, we see Constantine had gotten word that the mission was a success, and the king was dead. The archer, on the other hand, was captured. The king of the kingdom of Storm, Black Lightning, was training with his kids, Thunder and Lightning. And in this universe, he had a son, a beloved boy with the power to control the weather. He was strong, and his father was proud. And at that moment, John Constantine informed his father that Jor-El was dead. All this was ordered by the king himself, and John Constantine knew a war was to follow, but the king had no regrets. He made a choice, but he was going to suffer for that choice. Back at the kingdom of El, court was being held, and Amanda Waller wanted war, but Harley said no. The queen was distraught. She needed to think. She could not put more of her family and her people at risk. But Amanda Waller was really pushing for war. And Alfred, as a survivor of a previous war, made it clear, you don't know what war is. You should not fight for it. You should fight against it. And the queen sided with Alfred. She didn't want war. She had lost one family today. She didn't want to lose more. Harley Quinn called to Bruce, asking if he had an opinion. But Clark was pissed. He didn't want Bruce to talk, saying it is not for Bruce to say. This is a family discussion, and he is not family, walking out and demanding to be informed when the assassin was conscious. Alfred told Bruce not to blame himself, but he couldn't help it. It was his job to protect, and he failed. And now word was traveling far and wide to the kingdom of the Amazons, a nation in an alliance with the kingdom of El. The queen found out that the king had just died from an emissary of the kingdom of El called Lois. She had to tell everyone the news, including the princess, and so she did. We see Wonder Woman in battle, and when she saw Lois, she was excited, but this was not a good occasion. She had come with word. The king of El Kingdom was dead, and the princess needed to be informed. This princess wasn't Diana, no. It was Zala El, his daughter, another Kryptonian, and Diana's new love interest. She had to go. She had to be with her family. So she set off, and Diana knew what was to follow: war. Back in the kingdom of El, we see Clark heading to the prison to talk to the assassin. Bruce advised against it, but Clark wasn't taking no for an answer. He told everyone to clear out. He wanted to talk to him privately, and so everyone did. And we see this prison was full with speedsters. It was full with devils. It was full with Atlanteans, fish people, heroes and villains from the original timeline, all in prison here, even Bobo the monkey, all because they had magic, all because they were strange. Clark was pissed off. His father died. Looking at this assassin, he wanted to burn him to ash with his eyes, and the assassin was smug about it. He made it clear that the choice was made because you guys are monsters. You guys are not even men. But Clark made it clear that his father was a man. His father was a good man. But the assassin said no, he wasn't. So just hurry up and kill me. But Clark wasn't going to kill him. He was not a murderer. On the other hand, his sister was. Because in the kingdom of Storm, the thundering could be heard in the hallway. The king awoken, checking on his daughter, hoping it was her, but it wasn't. Realizing that something was wrong, he went to check on his boy. His boy was hovering above the ground. The king shouted, "Put him down." And she said that was always the plan. Flying up to the highest point above the ground where everyone could see, she held the little prince, and he wasn't afraid. He was not even scared, and she didn't care. She tossed him to the ground. The king watched his precious boy die in front of him. Filled with rage, he lashed out at the Kryptonian. There was a reason Black Lightning never fought Superman, because his lightning would just tickle them, and she was tickled, flying away in the night sky. The king was left in the ruins of his own home, in a war he started himself by killing a king that meant to do no harm.